שצבענו בה באדמה חומה, שצמאנו זרע באדמה חמה, וחפרנו בה וחרשנו בה ואהבנו.
Good evening, Baruch Benjamin Shulman. And Miriam, do you have a middle name?
Rebecca.
Oh, Miriam Rivka.
Yeah.
Miriam Rebecca Birnbaum. That's a very Jewish name. Are you Jewish? And we're all here to look at the Torah. You know, last night I went to bed quite late and I was thinking about, Torah 101. I always like to surf the web, and I see a lot of different people giving classes called Torah 101. So this is what I wrote. I've been thinking a lot about our community and this discussion group. Unlike a religion, we are not looking to convert anybody. We can't make people believe in God. That's his job. After looking all my life into so many ideologies, I returned to the book of my people, the Torah, which I found to be a book of principles to live by. It may look at first glance like a bunch of rules and regulations, but really it's not. Of course, it contains them like any other book that looks at building something. If I want to build a boat, I'd have to find out how to make it so that it won't sink. It's obvious. If I want to build a high rise, I have to know the rules of architecture so that the building won't collapse. And if I want to have peace, shalom in my life, fulfillment, build moral character, live with justice and compassion for all creation, I would have to study a book, this book, which shows us how to do that. That's how I see the Torah. So each week we look into its pages to see what our creator, the creator of the universe, has to say about that. I've looked into a lot of other books, but they all have fallen short for me. So contrary to popular opinion, the Torah is not only for Jews, it's a universal book. It's for all humanity. It was given to us, to the Israelites, to bring to all the nations of the world. And when people ask me, well, who are you? What is this group? What denomination are you? We don't really fit into a religion. Someone just told me today or yesterday, why don't you rejoin the Messianics? Because we used to be a Messianic congregation before we took a different look at Yeshua. And I said, well, we don't need to really join anything. All we need to do is live the Torah. So as we read, I'm not sure we're going to continue calling it Torah 101. Maybe if you have a different idea, maybe we could look at what we will call it. But I had thought at the beginning, maybe calling it Torah for Dummies, but we're not certainly not dummies. We're seekers. I guess we would say we were seekers of truth. And I'm going to be writing about that for this parasha, Bamidbar. Here's Jerry. Good evening, Jerry.
Hi, Jerry.
I just gave a little introduction, which I won't repeat, but when you listen to the recording, you'll hear it. So I'm going to share the screen now, and we're going to begin reading. Right now we're in what's called the book of Bamidbar. Bamidbar means in the desert. It's also been translated as numbers because they're numbering the tribes. And it goes from Numbers 1, verse 1, till Numbers 4, verse 20. And the Lord spoke to Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, in the tent of meeting, the Ochel Moed, on the first day of the second month, in the second year, as they were coming out of the land of Egypt. So already, as we see, they've been 2 years in the desert at the base of Mount Sinai. Now they will begin their journeys. Take a census of all the congregation of the children of Israel by their families, by their fathers' houses, according to the number of names, every male by their polls. So we see that Israel was always counted by the father's house, not the mother, not Rebecca, Sarah, Rachel, Leah, but by the fathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. And here by the heads of the 12 tribes. Now they're going to count them from 20 years old and up, because at 20, they were ready to go to war. You know, you can't start a man at 60 years old. He's already lived his life. He's a little bit more fearful than a 20-year-old who will do anything. They're not afraid of anything. So 20 years old and up who are able to go to war in Israel. You shall number them by their hosts, by their whole families, you and Aaron. So we know that the very first thing that God is doing now is forming his army. He knows the battles that are going to lay ahead, and he knows, just like each one have battles in our life, we are all going to war. We war with ourselves, with others, every single day of our lives. With you there shall be a man of every tribe, every one head of his father's house. So we're going to read the names of the heads. So we know that the first tribe, the first son of Jacob, was Reuben. He was the very first son of Leah. Remember, Rachel did not have children yet. Leah had the first 4. So we have Reuben. Yeah. Elitzur, the son of Shedeur. Then we have Simeon and his sons. Shlumiel, the son of Tsuri Shaddai. Each one of these names has a meaning. Each one of our names has a meaning. Like your name is Baruch. Benjamin. Benjamin is the youngest of the tribes. Baruch means blessed. My Hebrew name is Batya. Benjamin.
Right hand.
Pardon?
Benjamin, the right hand.
The right hand. And Shulman, you probably, your ancestors were teachers, or they went to shul.
Yeah, or synagogues.
A synagogue, exact. Tsuri Shaddai, for instance, is my rock. God is my rock. Then we have Yehuda, which means praiser. Nachshon. Each one of these has a meaning. Aminadav, Issachar, Netanel, man without guile, a gift of God. Zevulun, Eliav, the son of Elon. Every one of these names was one of the 12 tribes. But we're going to see that there were more than 12 tribes, because Joseph became 2 tribes through his sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. So there were 13 tribes. One of the tribes was going to be taken out, the Levites, and they were going to be the servants of the rest. They will serve in the Mishkan. These were the elect, the best, the princes of the tribes of their fathers. They were the heads of thousands of Israel. And Moses and Aaron took these names, these men that are pointed out by name. If somebody says to me, do you know Brian Benjamin Shulman? I said, yes, I know him by name. I know who he is. I know his reputation. Each of us has a reputation. Each of us, when someone says your name, it means you have value. And they assembled all the congregation together on the first day of the 2nd month, and they declared their pedigrees after their families. In ancient days, all you had to do was say you were from this so-and-so's father, and everybody knew who you were. By their fathers' houses, according to the number of names, from 20 years old and up by their polls. And the Lord commanded Moses, so he did number them in the wilderness of Sinai. And the children of Reuben, Israel's firstborn, their generations by their families, by their fathers' houses, according to the number of names, by their polls, every male 20 years old and up, all who were able to go forth to war. Those who were numbered with them of the tribe of Reuben were 6,500. So we're going to see each tribe, how many were numbered. Now, remember, this is amazing when you think of it, because I don't know how many were already there in Egypt, but they lived 2 years in the desert. So they had many children, they multiplied. And each one in Gematria has a meaning. I'm not going to go into that. Anybody could research what the numbers mean. Simeon, again, were numbered, and they were 59,300 children of God, who, again, these numbers were for the 20 years and upwards, all who were able to go forth to war. And you see that this is being repeated because each one is important. And God were 45,650. And then we see Judah, who was the fourth born. They were 14,600. Issachar, 54,400. Zebulun, 57,400. And so on here. Ephraim and Manasseh were 32,200. Then we have Benjamin. They were 35,400. We go to Dan and Asher, Naphtali, all the way down. And those were numbered, which Moses and Aaron numbered, and the princes of Israel, being 12 men at the head of each tribe. And it says, all together, all those men who were ready to go to war were 3,550. So if we look at those men, this is how they did the calculation of how many people left Egypt, because you have 603,550 men of war, 20,000. But then you had the elderly, you had women, children, servants, those who had come with us. So our sages say that there were probably between 2 and 3 million people who were going to be marching through the desert. And we're about to begin a journey now at the beginning of Bamidbar, which means in the desert, or it comes from Bamidbar, from the word, or from the thing. And there are many translations for Bamidbar, in the wilderness. We are about to enter the journey of our people, which should have taken they say between 10 to 13 days to go to the land promised to them. But it would take 38 more years because of our kvetching, our complaining, and our disobedience, until the first generation died off, and the second generation, the younger people, would enter the land. The only 2 people who would enter the promised land, and that doesn't include Moses, he wasn't able to enter because of his disobedience, were Caleb and Joshua. Joshua would take over from Moses. He was with him the whole way. And Caleb, who was not a Jew and a non-Jew, an Israelite and a non-Israelite, enter the promised land together. A beautiful picture of the future. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, from the tribe of Levi you shall not number, nor shall you take a census among the children of Israel, but appoint the Levites to take care of the tabernacle of the testimony, and over the furniture, over all that belongs to it. They shall bear the tabernacle, the Mishkan, everything in it. That was their role. Their role was to take care of everything that had to do with the Mishkan. Remember, when the Israelites were going to go to war, it was the Levites who went ahead of them, carrying the Ark of the Covenant, because that shows that our God would do battle for us, would always be with us through every battle that we ever had to face. And that picture is a picture of us. Each and every one of us has a battle in this life. one battle after another, our mind, our feelings, the problems that hit us. And it's a picture that God, when we trust him, will go forth in battle for us. Last week, we spoke about the Shemitah. The Shemitah was where we had to leave the land lie fallow for every 7 years. And if we had to trust him that in the 7th year, the 8th year, and the 9th year, food would be provided while the land rested in the 7th year, till we planted, and then we would finally sow again, reap in the 9th year. So we had to trust him. This is always about trusting God. When the tabernacle set forth, the Levites would take it down. When the tabernacle is to be put up, the Levites would set it up. And the common man who draws near shall be put to death. Now, this seems really harsh. And I was thinking about, why would that be so? Why was it that only the Levites could take it down and put it up, and no one else was able to do it? They would be put to death. And I was thinking of the firemen. If you take a look at, we saw a fire truck downtown this week, and I was thinking about them. When they're called out to a big fire, a terrible fire, the chief of the precinct will assign each one his role. If someone decides that he doesn't want to do his role, he could jeopardize the lives not only of the firemen, but of the people they're going in to save. That's how important the roles are. And we see later on when David was going to bring the Ark of the Covenant back, after it had been taken, he was going to bring it back. His friend Uzzah reached out because the cart the wheel of the cart had broken and the cart was tipping over, and Uzzah reached out and touched the cart, and immediately he was killed. God killed him. And King David felt terrible. He was so angry. He must have known, either he knew the Torah or he forgot it, but he knew the next time he had the Levites bring the ark, he did not allow anybody else to take care of it. And that comes from this verse right here. The children of Israel shall pitch their tents, every man with his own camp, every man with his own standard. They had their flag raised high according to their armies. But the Levites shall pitch round about the tabernacle of the testimony, and there shall be no anger upon the children of Israel. And the Levites shall keep charge of the tabernacle of the testimony. I found it interesting in this verse. When you look at it, it says, Haleviim, here, the tabernacle, it says, Lemishkan ha-edut, the tabernacle of the testimony. Mishkan, the tent of meeting, ha-edut. Edut, it says means testimony. And here it says al adat b'nei Israel. It's the same root. I'd be very interested in doing a little more research in that word, because it shows me that that word is important. The congregation of the children of Israel and the tabernacle of the testimony have that same root. And to me, being a testimony is you represent the God of Israel wherever we go. So did the children of Israel. According to all the Lord commanded Moses, so did they. Now, would somebody like to continue reading? Jerry, you want to read? Or Miriam?
I'll read a little bit.
Okay.
Okay. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, the children of Israel shall pitch by their fathers' houses, every man with his own standard, according to the ensigns A good way off shall they pitch round about the tent of meeting. Now those that pitch on the east side toward the sun rising shall be they of the standard of the camp of Judah, according to their hosts. The prince of the children of Judah being Nachshon, the son of Aminadab, and his hosts, and those that were numbered of them, 14,600. Sorry. And those that pitch next to him shall be the tribe of Issachar, the prince of the children of Issachar being Netanel, the son of Zuar, and his host, even those that were numbered thereof, 54,400. And the tribe of Zebulun, the prince of the children of Zebulun being Eliab, the son of Elon, and his host, and those that were numbered thereof, 57,400. All that were numbered of the camp of Judah, being 100,000 and 80,000 and 3,400, according to their hosts, they shall set forth first. On the south side shall be the standard of the camp of Reuben, according to their hosts. The prince of the children of Reuben being Eliezer, the son of Shedeur, and his hosts, and those that were numbered thereof, 46,500. And those that pitch next unto him shall be the tribe of Simeon, the prince of the children of Simeon being Shelumiel, the son of Zurishdai, and his host, and those that were numbered of them, 59,300. And the tribe of Gad, the prince of the children of Gad, being Eliasaph, the son of Reuel, and his host, even those that were numbered of them, 45,650. All that were numbered of the camp of Reuben, being 100,050 and 1,450, according to their hosts, and they shall set forth second. Then the tent of meeting with the camp of the Levites shall set forward in the midst of the camps as they encamp. So shall they set forward, every man in his place by their standard. On the west side shall be the standard of the camp of Ephraim, according to their hosts. The prince of the children of Ephraim being Elishama, the son of Amihud, and his hosts, and those that were numbered of them, 40,500. And next to him shall be the tribe of Manasseh, the prince of the children of Manasseh, being Gamaliel, the son of Pedahusur, and his host, and those that were numbered of them, 32,200. And the tribe of Benjamin, the prince of the children of Benjamin, being Abidan, the son of Gideoni, and his host, and those that were numbered of them, 35,400. All that were numbered on the camp of Ephraim, being 100,000 and 8,100, according to their hosts, and they shall set forth third. On the north side shall be the standard of the camp of Dan, according to their hosts, the prince of the children of Dan being Ahiezer, the son of Amishadai, and his host, and those that were numbered of them, 62,700. And those that pitch next unto him shall be the tribe of Asher, the prince of the children of Asher, being Pagiel, the son of Ochran, and his host, and those that were numbered of them, 41,500. And the tribe of Naphtali, the prince of the children of Naphtali, being Achira, the son of Enan, and his host, and those that were numbered of them, 50 and 3,400, and all that were numbered of the camp of Dan, being 100,050 and 7,600. They shall set forth hindmost, inmost by their standards. These are they that were numbered of the children of Israel by their fathers' houses. All that were numbered of the camps according to their hosts were 600,000 and 3,550. But the Levites were not numbered among the children of Israel, as the Lord commanded Moses. Thus did the children of Israel, according to all that the Lord commanded Moses, so they pitched by their standards, and so they set forward, each one according to its families and according to its father's houses.
So I want it, as you're reading, Miriam, I was, picturing every year we go through this again, and I'm always picturing this. I remember standing when I went to Israel, and they talk about this great battle that's coming in the valley of Megiddo one day, this huge piece of land. And I was trying to picture, the Levites in the center with the Mishkan. And then in the north, you have Dan, Naphtali, and Asher. On the east side, you have Judah, Issachar, Zebulun. South, Reuben, Simeon, and Gad. And on the west, Ephraim, Manasseh, and Benjamin. Thousands and thousands of people with standards raised high. Can you imagine the energy, the excitement, they're being gathered, to be ready to pick up and move across the desert and move toward the promised land. It must have been, I can't even imagine the awesome feeling of being there in such a community.
And at this point, just with the formation of Israel, really at the beginning, and the experiences of God working with them in their formation, it wasn't just, when you watch these films like of the Vikings and their wars, men get hyped up. It's, how could you not,
Right.
But this was under the umbrella of the creator of the universe.
Exactly.
And so there's something, that's why Narnia, if you've seen any of the Narnia.
That's exactly what I was thinking of, the scenes in Narnia.
Yeah, you see, it's like an army formed by the God of this universe. And
Exactly.
And it's not the same. I can't imagine it, but in our own lives, things are not the same when you're walking with God. Even if you have your doubts, etc., it's a very different world. If you have a long before and after, as I do, the world is very different, even in all its pain and suffering, than if you're not in the army with your own army. We have our own struggles. If you're not walking with God, it's a totally different picture.
Exactly. Jerry, would you like to read?
Where are we now?
Here, chapter 3.
Now these are the generations of Aaron and Moses in the day that the Lord spoke with Moses in Mount Sinai. And these are the names of the sons of Aaron: Nadab, the firstborn, Abihu, Eleazar, and Ithamar. These are the names of the sons of Aaron, the priests that were anointed, whom he consecrated to minister in the priest's office. And Nadab and Abihu died before the Lord when they offered strange fire before the Lord in the wilderness of Sinai. And they had no children. And Eleazar and Ithamar ministered in the priest's office in the presence of Aaron, their father. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, "Bring the tribe of Levi near, and let them before Aaron the priest, and set them before Aaron the priest, that they may minister unto him. And they shall keep his charge, and the charge of the whole congregation before the tent of meeting, to do the service of the tabernacle. And they shall keep all the furniture of the tent of meeting, and the charge of the children of Israel, to do the service of the tabernacle. And thou shalt give the Levites unto Aaron and to his sons. They are wholly given unto him from the children of Israel.
So we see here that at the beginning, Israel was chosen to be, he said, you will be a kingdom of priests. We would be a kingdom of Kohanim. And he took us out of the Gentiles to make us into a kingdom of priests. A priest, a Kohen, is someone who would be the link, the representative between God and the people. Then the sin, we read the sin of the golden calf. And after that, we read how then it would be one man would be chosen from Israel, Aaron, and he would then take on that role of being the priest. He would be the Kohen HaGadol. His sons
Peggy,
would,
sorry, wasn't
Yes.
he already chosen at the time of the golden calf?
yes, he was. But you see, I mean, God obviously knew all this in advance. He was chosen, but you see how at the beginning it was meant to be the whole household of Israel.
Right. No,
Yeah.
but I'm just,
No, he wasn't anointed yet.
okay, so he
Yeah.
was chosen, but not publicly, so to speak.
Exactly.
Okay.
And now you see Nadab and Abihu disobeyed. That was as bad as the golden calf. At the golden calf incident, 3,000 died that day. Here, Nadab and Abihu, they both died by offering strange fire. God gives us rules. He sets us down for a role and he wants us to obey them. And because sometimes our disobedience will cause the death of others. We need to be so careful when we know we're chosen, and it's a big responsibility. Now, we'll see that he's limiting even further. The Levites are going to serve to minister Aaron to take care of the tabernacle. Everybody is going to have their role. Okay, continue. 10.
And 11, 10.
11, okay.
And thou shalt. And the Lord spoke unto Moses, saying, and I, behold, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel, instead of every firstborn that openeth the womb among the children of Israel. And the Levites shall be mine.
You see here again, it says, I have taken the Levites from among the children of Israel instead of the Bechor. First, if it would have been the firstborn male who would be chosen. Now the Levites, it's like choose. God is the one who chooses who's going to serve and how.
For all the firstborn are mine. On the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I hallowed unto me all the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast. Mine they shall be. I am the Lord. And the Lord spoke unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, saying,
Sorry,
No.
Peggy,
Hold on. Yes.
I just want to know a bit what that means. Like at this point, the Levites were chosen and the priests were chosen from the tribe of the Levites. And here it's not from the firstborn, but now it's saying the firstborn are mine. So what does that mean? And what's, it's like here it says it's not the firstborn that shall be the Levites, for all the firstborn are mine. Is that like counterpoint to the slaughtering of the firstborn in Egypt? Like, is that something to do with that? Like here, because I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt, I made holy unto me all the firstborn in Israel. Like, or does that have something to do? Like, I'm not sure with the Pidyon Aben, how do you pronounce it? Like, how do all those connect? Do you have an idea?
Not at this moment.
Okay.
Yeah, but I know it is all connected. But
Yeah.
it's all according to how God chooses us. But I was just gonna say something and I got distracted. Sorry.
Sure.
The firstborn are mine. On the day that I smote all the firstborn in the land of Egypt. I separated from me the firstborn in Israel, both man and beast. Mine they shall be. I am the Lord.
Like with all the plagues, there was something always in connection with let's say God asked for.
Well, the firstborn always had the double inheritance. The firstborn was always important. The firstborn male always holds a special place. Israel, he says, the people of Israel are his firstborn among all the nations of the world. There's so many pictures that come out of this, but the Levites would be serving. They were chosen to serve whatever Aaron needed to be done in the Mishkan and the temple. They would all, they would be the ones who would be servants.
Okay.
Verse
15.
14. Okay.
And the Lord spoke unto Moses in the wilderness of Sinai, saying, number the children of Levi by their fathers' houses, by their families, every male from a month old and upward shalt thou number them. And Moses numbered them according to the word of the Lord, as he was commanded. And these are the sons of Levi by their names, Gershon and Kohath and Merari. And these are the names of the sons of Gershon by their families, Libni and Shimei. And the sons of Kohath by their families, Amram and Izhar, Hebron and Uzziel. And the sons of Merari by their families, Mali and Mushi. These are the families of the Levites according to their fathers' houses. Of Gershon was the family of Libnites, and the family of the Shimeites. These are the families of the Gershonites. Those that were numbered of them according to the number of all males, from a month old and upward, even those that were numbered of them were 7,500. The families of the Gershonites were to pitch behind the tabernacle westward. The prince of the father's house of the Gershonites being Eliasaph, the son of Lael, and the charge of the sons of Gershon in the tent of meeting, the tabernacle, and the tent, the covering thereof, and the screen for the door of the tent of meeting, and the hangings of the court. Go ahead, I have to sneeze.
Gesundheit.
Thank you. And the hangings of the court, and the screen for the door of the court, which is by the tabernacle and by the altar, round about, and the cords of it, even whatsoever pertaineth to the service thereof. And of Kohath was the family of the Amramites, and the family of the Israelites, and the family of the Hebronites, and the family of the Uzzielites. These are the families of the Kohathites, according to the number of all the males from a month old and upward, 8,600, keepers of the charge of the sanctuary. The families of the sons of Kohath were to pitch on the side of the tabernacle southward. The prince of the house's house of the families of the Kohathites being Eliaphin and the son of Uzziel, and their charge, the ark and the table, and the candlestick and the altars and the vessels of the sanctuary, wherewith the priests minister, and the screen, and all that pertaineth to the service thereof.
Do you see how each one had their own, like here, the sons of Gershon, they had to take care of the covering, the screen of the door, the hangings of the court, the screen of the door of the court. That was their job. It's like when you look at the shul, somebody has to take care of the seats, somebody has to take care of putting the sidurs on the seats or wherever. Everybody has their role in a community. Every position is as important as another. Some may be looked upon with more respect and higher, but let me tell you, the person who sweeps the floor and keeps the place clean is as important in the eyes of God as is the rabbi at the top who brings the message. That's what God is showing us here, that everyone had their place and everyone was important.
Of Merari was the family of the Mahalites, and the family of the Mushites. These are the families of Merari. And those that were numbered of them, according to the number of all males, from a month old and upward, were 6,200. The prince of the father's house of the families of Merari, being Zuriel, the son of Abihail. They were to pitch on the side of the tabernacle northward. The appointed charge of the sons of Merari, being the boards of the tabernacles, and the bars thereof, and the pillars thereof, and the sockets thereof, and all the instruments thereof, and all that pertaineth to the service thereof, and the pillars of the court round about, and their sockets, and their pins, and their cords. Next reader.
And those who were to pitch before the tabernacle eastward, before the Ochel Moed, the tent of meeting, toward the sunrise, were Moses and Aaron and his sons. They were to keep charge of the sanctuary, even the charge for the children of Israel. And the common man, anyone other than them who drew near, was to be put to death. All who were numbered, who were counted from the Levites, whom Moses and Aaron counted at the commandment of the Lord by their families, all the males from 1 month old and up were 22,000. And the Lord said to Moses, count all the firstborn males of the children of Israel from 1 month and up, and take the number of their names. And you shall take the Levites for me, even the Lord, instead of all the firstborn among the children of Israel. So first he had chosen the firstborn to do it, but now he was taking the Levites. He was putting them in position that he would have put the firstborn among the children of Israel. It's a little bit about like Reuben lost his right as firstborn, a double inheritance of his father, because of that he sinned. He slept with one of his father's wives. And
And
here,
not only that, oh, sorry.
go ahead.
Well, in all the choosings that you see in the Torah and the Haftorah, even with King David, he wasn't the firstborn and he wasn't the strongest. So it's a principle also that it's God chooses from his own criteria and judges a person's heart.
Exactly.
So it's not just the right of the firstborn. God
Exactly.
chooses as he will.
Exactly. The same thing happened with when Joseph asked Jacob to bless his 2 sons, Manasseh and Ephraim. And he went and he put his hand on the younger one first, the blessing. And Joseph said, no, but the other one is the older one. And Jacob says, no, this is the way it needs to be. God knows who he's choosing. Okay. And Moses numbered, as the Lord had commanded him, all the firstborn, the Bechor, among the children of Israel, and all the firstborn males according to the number of names from a month old and up. Those that were numbered were 22,213. And the Lord spoke to Moses, saying, take the Leviim instead of all the firstborn among the children of Israel, and the cattle of the Leviim instead of their cattle, and the Leviim shall be mine, even the Lord's. And as for the redemption of the 213 of the firstborn of the children of Israel that are over and above the number of the Levites, you shall take 5 shekels each by pole. After the shekel of the sanctuary shall you take them. The shekel is 20 gerah. And you shall give the money that remains over them that are redeemed to Aaron and to his sons. And Moses took the redemption money from them that were over and above them, who were redeemed by the Levites. From the firstborn of the children of Israel, he took the money, 1,300, 65 shekels after the shekel of the sanctuary. And Moses gave the redemption money to Aaron and to his sons, according to the word of the Lord, as Moses commanded. Now, was that 4? No, this is the last. We're going from 4 to
Peggy, is that
first
where
one.
the Pidyon Ben comes from?
Yeah, I believe so. Jerry? That's where we get the Pidyon Haben.
Well, yes, I think so.
And the Lord spoke to Moses and to Aaron, saying, count the sons of Kahat from among the sons of Levi by their families, by their father's house, 30 years old and up until 50, all that enter upon the service to do the work in the tent of meeting. Here's where we see that the Kohanim, the Levites, would only work until they were 50 years old, and they would be retired because the work in the tent of meeting was gruesome. They would be handling a lot of the sacrifices, the killing. They were like butchers, many of them. Each of their jobs were very difficult, and so they would retire at the age of 50. This is the service of the sons of Kahat in the tent of meeting, around the most holy things. These things would be then separated for God. When the camp sets forth, Aaron shall go in, and his sons, and they shall take down the veil of the screen and the cover of the ark of the testimony with it, and they shall put it on it a covering of sealskin. We're not sure if that word is sealskin, because I don't think there were too many seals in the desert, but we don't know the meaning of that word in Hebrew. And shall spread over it a cloth of blue, and shall set the poles, the staves thereof. And on the table of showbread they shall spread a cloth of blue, and put on it dishes and pans and bowls and jars to pour out, and the continual bread shall remain on it. So you see how specific each of their jobs had to be, so that everything worked and ran well as a well-oiled machine. And they shall spread upon them a cloth of scarlet, and cover the same with a covering of sealskin, and shall set the staves thereof. Shall take a cloth of blue, and cover the candlestick of the light, and its lamps, and its tongs, and its snuff dishes, and all the oil vessels thereof, wherewith they ministered unto it. And they shall put it and all the vessels thereof within a covering of sealskin, and shall put it upon a bar. And upon the golden altar they shall spread the cloth of blue, and cover it with a covering of sealskin, shall set the staves thereof. And they shall take all the vessels of the ministry, wherewith they minister in the sanctuary, and put in a cloth of blue, and cover them with a covering of sealskin, shall put them on a bar. And they shall take away the ashes from the altar, and spread a purple cloth thereon. Jerry, you want to continue? Just 5 more verses.
And they shall put upon it all the vessels thereof, wherewith they minister about it, the fire pans, the flesh hooks, and the shovels, and the basins, all the vessels of the altar. And they shall spread upon it a covering of sealskin, and set the staves thereof. Now when Aaron and his sons have made an end of covering the holy furniture and all the holy vessels, as the camp is to set forward after that, the sons of Kohath shall come to bear them, but they shall not touch the holy things, lest they die. These things are the burden of the sons of Kohath in the tent of meeting. And the charge of Eleazar, the son of Aaron, the priest, shall be the oil for the light, and the sweet incense, and the continual meal offering, and the anointing oil. He shall have the charge of all the tabernacle, and of all that therein is, whether it be the sanctuary of the furniture thereof. And the Lord spoke unto Moses and unto Aaron, saying, cut ye not off the tribe of the families of the Kohathites from among the Levites, but thus do unto them that they may live and not die. When they approach unto the most holy things, Aaron and his sons shall go in and appoint them every one to his service and to his burden. But they shall not go in to see the holy things as they are being covered, lest they die.
That's it for this portion. That's the end of Bamidbar. But you can see the detail that God presented to Moses. I mean, can you imagine all these people being in the desert? They all had a very specific order and a reason why they were all there. If nobody knew what to do, they would just be sitting around killing each other. But they all had, God had shown Moses what to tell them. God wants order in our lives. And he wants us to live a life of order, order in our communities, order in our homes. He wants us to know what it is we have to do and to be happy with what we have to do, not to complain. We're going to see later how Korach rebels. He's not happy. He thinks that he deserves to have the place of Aaron. Who does Moses think he is? You know, and sometimes I see that with people. You know, who do you think you are? You know, why are you doing that? I should be doing that. But God is the one who chooses. And when we're walking with him, when we have a sense that he exists, when we know that he's looking out for us and that he's really, truly in our lives. I mean, by this time, the Israelites knew. But there's a difference in knowing something and in putting things into practice. There's a difference between, it's like Miriam, when you said that, you know, your friend said, I eat healthy in my mind. There's a difference between knowing what is healthy to eat and then eating healthy. It's not enough to just know. You're on mute. You're on mute, Miriam.
I think it's a different kind of knowing. Like, we're assuming that everyone, I don't know, but everyone who was, you know, in the Exodus from Egypt was touched by God. Maybe not. So
they all heard his voice.
Yeah, but even though
they knew, they saw.
But it doesn't, I don't know, you know, like, how do we know, you know, we don't see God in that way at this point, but why do some people know in a deep knowing way and other people don't? It's something to do with a knowing of the heart. So people who say, I believe in God, they just say it off the cuff. I often wonder, what do they mean? They just been told that there's a God. They grew up that way, but I don't know if they really even believe there really is a God. I mean, if somebody, like, I don't think it's that easily separated. I think there's something else. There's something about being touched by God and then responding. And if you don't respond, that's, you know, but
there certainly is a mystical element. That there's no doubt in my mind that there is some kind of mystical element, but I really believe that each and every person has, well, the Torah talks about it, how each and every person has that spark of divinity within. So at some level, everybody does know. But then our egos, our pride, life experiences, things happen that make us turn away. You know, just like I remember Rabbi used to talk about love being a choice. We say, we fall in love. That's not love. Usually people fall in lust. There's an attraction. It's a physical attraction. But there's a difference between making a decision because you see a person and more you love things about that person, that you choose, you make a commitment to be with that person, and then you choose to be loyal. That's what love is, loyalty. Because it's easy to fall out of that feeling, that original feeling of lust when you first meet somebody. You know, life and its problems set in, and that feeling can go away. But we have to remind ourselves, I chose that person. I made a vow before God that I'm going to be loyal to that person, protect them, take care of them, whatever. And that vow needs to stand all throughout our lives. And it's the same with, you know, our walk with God. we need to choose to be obedient to him. Sometimes it's going to take disaster in our lives to make us turn. It's different for each and every individual. All I can speak is for myself. I can say that I searched for God. I don't know. I searched for a lot of things. I'm not sure I ever searched for God, but I was searching for answers. I wanted the answer to why there's pain and suffering. I listened to a rabbi this morning who spoke for an hour about his experience. He comes from an ultra-Orthodox family in Germany, and he talked about all the things that happened to him to show him the miracles that God really does exist in the midst of all the tragedy that he saw. He knew that God is real. And yet there were others who came out of the Holocaust who absolutely refused to believe that God is real, because how could God allow such things to happen? You see, we're cut off from our past. We've been cut off from our roots. When we start to read the Torah, this Torah was supposed to be handed down to us generation after generation. Like when we sit at Pesach, every year we sit with our families. But what does it become? It's become a dinner. It's become gefilte fish and grain. It's become roast beef and chicken soup and meeting of families. We've lost the understanding that there really was a God who brought us out of the land of Egypt and did all those miracles. And then when we forget the past, we're bound to repeat the mistakes of the past. And that's what happens throughout the generations. We forget where we come from. So and that's why I didn't know God. It wasn't passed down in any way to me, but I believe God was with me right from the beginning. We saw, if you go back, Miriam, I'm sure in your life, and you've told me about things.
I agree, but there is a point where some people who say they know there's a God, whatever, maybe they know, but other people, I really believe what Shaul had said about a thing that can happen, a searing of your conscience. When you see people who are evil, for example, even though God has put his spark within each one of us, I believe that. I think it's almost like something dies in certain people.
But who did that to us?
Themselves.
Exactly.
Their choices.
It's
but
choice.
It's hard to, yes.
Yes, it is choice. It's hard to take responsibility for our choices. Like this afternoon, I was wiped out. I was so exhausted, I could not move. I just sat there and I didn't want to do anything. Remember, you called me and you said, let's go out. I couldn't move. I had a choice in that moment to change my mind, to pick up and go. I made a choice. I made a choice to rest. I wanted to be fresh for this evening, but I could have gone, and I may still have been fresh for this evening. We have a choice in absolutely everything that we do in our lives.
I agree with you. I'm just saying that through our choices, some people, their consciences become really seared. I mean, I've said before the story of this young boy I was reading a long time ago, and this is more in the realm of whether or not you believe in demons or not. I'm just going to tell you what he said. He said, a 15 or 16-year-old young man said, I have made the big switch. Now, something in my heart, like something in me, it sent shivers through me, because I know what he meant. He was going the way of evil. Call it Satanism, whatever, but that's the choice. And something in him said, I have made the big switch. So he made a conscious, so there is a point where people could, by whatever, their own decisions, the way they react to suffering, whatever it is, their consciences become seared. And some, as you said, some came out of the Holocaust absolutely dark and angry and cynical, and I can understand that. And others came out and said, this is not something God did. This has to be a consequence of many things that we've done in the world. So, but it must have been even the case in some of the people who left Egypt. Not all, we don't know what went on in all of their hearts.
No, exactly. Look at the case that, as I mentioned before, of Korach. Korach was a cousin of Moses. and he rebelled to the point that God had him swallowed up in the earth.
And even those who offered their children as sacrifices.
Yeah.
Now, what you call that is just, it's
but it's happening again today. It's happening again every time we have an abortion, or that young woman who decided in the 9th month that she didn't want to have her child, and they had to anesthetize the baby in order to kill it.
This is a true story.
This has happened right here in Quebec.
In the 9th month, you're allowed to have an abortion.
Right up to the 9th month.
Oh my God.
It's a tragedy. This is happening
hideous.
in our world today. Is that not sacrificing a child to Moloch for her own reasons? She couldn't see taking care of it. This was her 3rd abortion.
Yeah, no,
and somebody called her and was ready to adopt that child. She wouldn't do it. So we're not much different than the people who were in the desert. We're very similar to, the world has not changed. The only thing that's changed is our level of sophistication.
I guess I was just responding to the idea that it's one thing to say there's a God and another thing to follow. I agree, I understand, but there comes a point, I think, in anyone's life where if they keep saying there's a God, but they make choices that are really like stealing, killing, whatever. It's glib almost when they say I believe in God, because I'm not separating. At some point that you really know that there's a God in the world, orchestrating so many things, a God of goodness and a God of justice. If you don't respond to that with really being touched, I don't see how you cannot. I'm not saying
Miriam, look at the people who were at the base of Mount Sinai. Look what they all saw. They all saw 10 plagues hit the Egyptians. They stood at the head of the Sea of Reeds. Moses steps in, or Aaron put his rod in. A wind blew all night. The sea parted. They walked across the waves. The water stood up on both sides. They walked across. Then they saw the water come back and kill the rest of all of Pharaoh's army. Every time they asked for something, they got it.
But maybe some people,
and they knew God was there. They had a pillar of fire by night, and there was a pillar of fire at night, and a cloud by day, a pillar of cloud by day. They saw physically, and still some
you don't
people
think that things happen in our lives, and if we were really attentive, and we would really see that things happen that are supernatural from God. Anyway, I
those
guess
all things were all supernatural.
What?
Every one of them, all those things were supernatural.
I know, but what I'm saying
it's
is
like
maybe...
look if you're born in a family, and you have wonderful, loving parents, a father who will do so much for their children, and one of the kids just decides to rebel. Something happens, something with friends, just turns away and no longer believes in his father. Doesn't mean that the father doesn't exist or isn't good.
What I'm saying that we don't know the heart of every person.
That's exactly it.
It's like, you remember even who said, I think Yashuv or somebody said, even if you saw God himself, you know what I mean? We don't always, it's not always so clear, because anyway, I can't always put into words what I'm trying to say, but something in a person's heart is what really involves the whether we act or not. If and sometimes people go through something and they'll see 2 years later, or wow, like I look at my life sometimes, I say, how could I have done these things? How incredibly rebellious. And I look back. So I'm saying, if there's nothing that happens and you say, to me, it's sometimes glibly, oh, I believe in God. No, but what does that mean when people say? Some people really mean it, and I think they're really struggling, they're really searching. And other people, they just say it, they brought up that way. I don't know if they really mean. Anyway, maybe that's another topic.
Well, it's a topic we'll never find an answer to.
I guess
Not until we're on the other side.
Well, God says he measures our hearts.
But that's the bottom line. But there's still, he did give us that the idea of free will is such an important element. The element of choice is ours. He gave it to us. And, it's really important that we learn that we're chosen, that he gave us a role, and that hopefully we'll step into that role, because in that role lies tremendous fulfillment. It doesn't mean that our lives are easy, but there's nothing easy on this earth. This is the battleground. And when we walk through it, that's why I love the picture of the Mishkan going before battle. The Ark of the Covenant would go, before the armies. They would blow the shofar, and they would bear their standards. Each tribe had their standards, and they would march through the lands, and people knew that they were coming. And I guess, they were a testimony of the living God, and that's how we need to be. Jerry, you've been very quiet this evening. Usually you have something a little more to say. And I'm wondering if you're on mute. Is that a choice? That's your free choice?
And we had a little flood in the house today, and I was cleaning up for an hour.
Mazel tov. Is everything okay?
No, we have to take care of the stuff, and got a lot to do now. And whatever.
Wow. All right. Well, that should be your worst problem.
Yeah.
Yeah. And Baruch,
Yeah,
thank you. You're doing okay?
doing okay.
Good. I'm glad.
Gary, how bad is the flood?
It was. We'll discuss that. Not right now, but.
You want to check your elevation? Put the compass on your phone, and it'll tell you how high you are from the sea level.
That's good, Bri. That's important to know, especially if you're in a lot. Anyway, I hope it all works out for you, Jer. You got to get a plumber in?
Oh, whatever. Let that take care of it,
Okay. All right. Well, if we have nothing else to add, just remember each of us are numbered. We're all counted, and we all count on each other. When one of us is not here, we're truly missed. Everyone is an important member of community, and being alone is not an easy thing. So we need to, God is forming not only an army, he's forming units, a people, and we're part of that people. So let's go forth with our standard. You see my flag behind. We go forth with our standard, and we need to be a testimony of God's love, not only for each other, but for the world. So I wish you all, Miriam, Baruch, Jerry, a very good evening, and I wish you a Shabbat Shalom. And God willing, we'll see you next week when we'll talk about Shavuot, the next of the festivals that's coming up. So I wish you all the best.
Thank you.